everybody. Today I'm going to be doing like a mid-April wrap-up for you. I have 4 books I'm going to review, including 2 thrillers, 1 fantasy, and 1 nonfiction. And then I have a little mini book haul to share with you at the end. So hi, my name's Talia. I love books, I love bandanas. I'm so glad you are at my channel today. We're mid-April here. The rain is non-stop. We're all feeling a little bit stir crazy and discouraged around here, but I'm still reading really good books. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. So I read 2 thrillers so far this month. The first, The Silent Patient by Alex Michaelides. And I really liked this book. This was the Discord group read for Dusty Book Sniffers channel for this month. And I really liked it. So this one's been circling BookTube for a while. We have a woman who is living a somewhat normal life and suddenly basically shoots her husband in the face. Just completely goes crazy, shoots him in the face, and never talks again. So we come into the story, I believe, 6 years after this has happened, and the story is told from the point of view of this therapist who is working with her and trying to figure out why she did this and why she hasn't spoken about it since. So we go from there, and it's a thriller, so obviously I can't say too much more about it. Than that, I will say I liked the way it was written. I liked the twists and turns. I did feel like I had an inkling of how it was going to turn out at the beginning, and I was correct. So take that for what it is. I don't feel like I'm usually very good at guessing like the plots and knowing what's going to happen. But this one, I feel like it kind of steered you in a direction that it wanted you to go, and I don't know, for me, it was kind of predictable, but I liked it. I liked how it went. It was a good read. Definitely recommend. Okay, the next thriller I read, I also read a physical copy, but I borrowed it from my friend because it was our in-life book club read. So I borrowed it from a friend and I already gave it back, but it was All the Dangerous Things by Stacy Willingham. And this is actually a recent release. I think it was released in December-ish. I remember it being a book of the month choice. And I remember thinking, ooh, I don't want to read that because it's about a woman whose son gets kidnapped. And just as a mom of young kids, I think that's like a real big fear of is having your kids taken. So I remember being like, ooh, I don't want to read that. But it ended up being the book club pick for my in-life book club. So I was like, okay, well, you gotta read the book club pick, so I'll give it a try. And I actually really liked it. I liked it more than The Silent Patient. So we have this mom, and her son was taken from his bedroom while he was sleeping at like 18 months old. And we're coming in, I think it's like a year after this has happened, and the police have given up basically on it. Her husband has given up and moved on, and she is still trying to figure out, where is my son? What is going on with this? This is not a closed case. And so we kind of go from there. And I will say really early in the book, you wonder if she had something to do with it because they right away, right at the beginning, so not spoilers, they start talking about how she used to sleepwalk as a child and she had this little sister and there's like some mysterious stuff going on. So right from the beginning, you're like, did she have something to do with this? Like, did she do this and not remember? Like, what's going on here? Like, there's strong vibes that aren't just like, I'm hunting for my child. It's kind of she's wrestling with this internal battle with herself too. So it goes from there. And this whole time you're just trying to figure out like, what is going on? Who did this? Like, what happened? Is she crazy? Is she not crazy? And like, you guys, it is so good. It just takes you on this wild ride. And at the end, I was like, yeah, really liked it. And I feel like, no, I'm not going to say that because that would be giving too much away. I'll just say I liked it. And I'm glad that I had book club to talk about it with because, yeah, I just had a lot of things to say about it. So, yeah, that's my thriller reads for April. Next, this book I actually kind of worked on for the past couple months. This was a NetGalley pick. And my NetGalley picks, I want to be better about reading them quickly, but reading them in digital format, which is how the NetGalley picks come, is just my least favorite way to read. I hate reading. I don't have like a big fancy Kindle or anything, so I end up reading on my phone, and it just, no matter how good the book is, I don't get through it very quickly. So I read Charming by Jane Lindwood, and I will say this book, I thought it was gonna be 5-star. Like, the first half was amazing. So we have this Charming, who's Prince Charming. This is kind of like a loosely told fairy tale mashup. So Charming is going around and saving all the damsels in distress in the different kingdoms, and after he saves them, he then like robs their treasury and runs away. So he has all these ticked off like princesses around the kingdom, and they end up coming together to try to get revenge on him and catch him and get him back for all the ways that he has wronged them. Okay, so the way it was written, I really like it. Like, you can almost picture like this fairy tale vibes. Like, as you open the chapter, it's like, we come upon a castle and there's, you know, birds singing and flowers blooming, and it's like this very like fairy tale-esque telling. But then as the characters start to talk, they just talk like normal people. So we go pretty deep into the story, the full background of Charming and 3 of these princesses, and just the story, how he kind of gets them to fall in love with him and then breaks their heart and runs away and embarrasses their families. So on and so on. So, yeah, it's kind of the story of 3 of these princesses coming together and trying to get him back. And I really liked the first half. I thought it was really well done. Really sucks you into the story. For me, it just kind of started meandering after about the halfway point, and it just kind of was like, oh, I don't know how this story is gonna end, and then, oh, it's over, and if that makes sense. Like, I don't feel like there was any like great powerful ending. I don't feel like there was any like really revelation of characters that made me understand why this all went down. For me, the ending was just kind of meh. So it was super disappointing because it started so well, and then I was just like, what happened here? So I don't know if I'd recommend it or not. It's a 3, so do with that what you will. First half, great. Maybe, and I think maybe I would have liked the ending more if I had read it more quickly, because there was kind of a significant gap in between. Like, I think I started in February, and then I didn't read it at all during middle grade March because I was banging out middle grade books during that time period, and then I kind of came back to it. So I wonder if I had read the ending more closely to the beginning, if it would have melded together more for me. But I didn't, so I gotta go with what I have, so it's just okay for me. Also, I listened to on audiobook How to Be a Good Creature, a memoir in 13 animal stories. I'm not sure if that's exactly what it is, but I'll put it here. And that was by Montgomery. And that book was delightful. So this is Montgomery's kind of like memoir / story of these different animals that she has come into contact with, whether they're pets or animals she has studied throughout her life. So Montgomery is this like amazing naturalist or researcher, has traveled all over the world studying different types of animals, and she narrated this audiobook, so it's her voice, and you guys, you can just tell that she is so passionate about these animals and so passionate about her work, and the way they have impacted her is deep. It's not just like, oh, I liked these animals, like they were impactful of my life. Like, the way she talks about them almost has like this magical element. Like, she's talking about tracing emus through the like deserts, and holding this tarantula and this octopus, but the way she talks about it, like, you can feel like you were there, and you can feel what she feels, like that these were impactful, magical experiences for her. And yeah, I could not recommend it enough. I want to read everything she wrote. She has a bunch of other nonfiction that she's written, mostly from her studies, and I think that it's all going to be amazing. So I'm definitely going to be reading more Montgomery, and yeah, How to Be a Good Creature will be on my top 10 list for sure this year. It was really It was really delightful. And it wasn't too long either. It was like 4 hours listening time, I think. So if you're looking just for like a quick, impactful nonfiction read to add to your repertoire, definitely recommend that one. Okay, so that's where books I have finished this month. I'm in the middle of like 3 right now, and I'm like, I don't know, I'm kind of like having a hard time getting into a good rhythm right now with reading. So we will see how the month turns out and what I end up finishing. But I wanted to share also a couple of books I picked up recently. We went on a family trip to Idaho, and my husband said he would buy me a couple books as part of the adventure. So I was in a used bookstore with my dad, and my dad told me that I had to buy Ship of Gold in the Deep Blue Sea by Gary Kinder. He has read this book, and he really enjoyed it. He said it's a really must-read nonfiction book. So I got it. It is one I'm not going to read right away. I think it'll probably be part of my nonfiction November reads. But this is a book, I want to get the dates correctly for you. So in September 1857, the SS Central America, so it was this giant steam whaler, was carrying 600 passengers from the California gold rush. So it was coming around off the Carolina coast, and it sank, and 400 lives were lost, and 21 tons of California gold sunk down into the bottom of the ocean, and was lost, because obviously at that point in time there was not the technology to recover this ship. It was just a whole massive treasure lost. So this book covers, in the 1980s, a young engineer from Ohio came along, and he wanted to establish a working presence on the ocean floor, which had not been done before, not even by the US Navy. So he set out to go down and try to recover the ship. So after years of intensive efforts, Tommy Thompson and the Columbus America Discovery Group, he found the Central America in 8,000 feet of water, and recovered the treasure, and was able to sail into Norfolk with all of the gold that they found. It had been sealed underwater for 130 years. So I think my dad is definitely going to be right on this one. He's very rarely wrong on books. I think this is going to be great, and it will be a part of my reading later this year. Also, I picked up this When Stars Are Scattered by Victoria Jamieson and Omar Mohamed. So if you've paid attention to my middle grade March, you know that I read this book, and I actually listened to it as an audiobook, which was very good, but I mentioned that I wanted to get a copy because it is a graphic novel. So I picked it up, and I've already flipped through it a little bit, and I love it so much. And I think it will not be very long before I go through this in its entirety. To remind you, this covers the story of Omar and his brother growing up in a refugee camp in Kenya. They're Somali refugees, and gets there at a very young age. And it's just the story of his life there, and becoming educated and trying to find a way out of this refugee camp. And Omar has gone on to work very closely with refugees, and he's just a real advocate for making life better in these refugee camps and trying to get people out of the refugee camps. And this book just really brought awareness to me about the refugee crisis. And it's funny, the devotion I do, I don't know if any of you do Lectio 365. It's this amazing devotion that you can just download on your phone, and it'll give you like a verse and story, and like kind of read some prayers for you. So if you're looking for a devotion, side note, that you can do that's really easy and it's free, and you don't have to like have a bunch of books or stuff around you in the morning, 10 out of 10 recommend that. But it's so funny, this morning, it was talking about the refugee crisis. So this came to my mind again. So I was like, I gotta remember to talk about that in my video today. So long story short, this book is excellent. You should definitely read it. Read it with your kids, read it by yourself. It's just a great way to learn about the refugee crisis in a way that is super approachable, digestible, and the illustrations are beautiful. It's really well done. So super excited for that as well. Okay, I think that's all that we're going to talk about today. I hope you are doing well wherever you are. I hope you take some time today to read a good book or two, and if you are having a bad hair day, just wear a bandana.